you experienced.
Hi guys, I'm back with Emma. I made a video of Emma and her beautiful place. And so many people said to me, please, where's part 2 of Emma? So I'm back with Emma, but now we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit different. You always see these videos of these amazing things that people are doing, and you watch them and you wish you could do that, and sometimes you feel overwhelmed, like I can't do that, I can never do that. I mean, it's like intimidated. So it's a different kind of video, like the video I showed you of my terrible drought stricken garden. This is a similar thing, and Emma's going to be telling you her mistakes and stuff that she's stuffed up in, and how to fix them and what she did, so that you can understand that this is real people doing stuff and things go wrong. And she's nice and honest, this girl. So she's going to tell us some of her mistakes.
Honesty is the best policy. Yeah, so the whole idea is, at the moment, people are getting quite depressed about the drought in PE in particular. It's all over the country, of course, in different areas, but a lot of people are losing a lot of their plants and a lot of their food crops, and then feeling like permaculture isn't working or growing food isn't really viable. And I kind of felt a bit like that too when I came back from being away for a month to a pretty dead garden.
She calls this dead, but anyway, whatever.
It is, compared to this time last year. So what I wanted to do was say, okay, well, what's working, what's not working, and try and work out why. And in permaculture, that's what we try and do. We observe and interact and accept feedback and accept self-regulation. So I wanted to sort of talk about a few things that I feel like I really shouldn't have done, or mistakes that I've made that can be turned into learning opportunities for other people and for me, and then a couple of things that are working in these conditions. I'm going to be showing these trees along this fence line here. All of these trees look relatively healthy and big and strong, but the case of the matter is these are actually trees that have rooted themselves. So you can see the size of some of these trunks in these bags, particularly the wild plum. Now what's happened is I've been watering them and giving them love because I'm planning to plant them at our other plot at Benstadens, but we've had to give them lots of water, obviously, because they're in bags and not generally in the ground, but so there's a high input going on. But now that they've rooted so heavily, when we try and take these trees out to replant them, it's very likely some of them, or if not all of them, are going to die. So my first tip is don't start out by buying loads of trees when you see them at a good price, or if you get excited and you want plants or trees but you're not ready for them. I've had these trees for over a year and I've had to keep them alive for over a year. You can imagine how much water that's taken, a bit of organic fertilizer, comfrey water, stuff like that. So, and now they're probably going to die, lots of them. So they look great on the fence line, but it's not their home and they're likely to die. So tip is, don't go buying things that you're not ready to plant. Don't go shopping for plants and trees until you're ready for them.
Trees, it's important where trees go. They grow big, guys, trees. They can't summer go anywhere. Tip number 1, don't go crazy and buy lots of trees unless you have a home for them.
The drought is, or the drought cycle and living in South Africa and living in a climate where there's not much water means you know, you have to be careful about what you water and how you water. When I came back from being away and came into the garden, what I realized was I had nowhere near enough water to feed or keep the whole garden alive. So when I came out here, I realized, you know, the municipal water is on restriction, rightly so. Our rain tanks were not very full because of the lack of rain, and I had to prioritize in the garden. I had to come out here and say, okay, what must I do? And what I began doing, like some of you would have done, is watered my annuals. But this annual plant takes an enormous amount of water and feeding, and instead of keeping perennials alive, I tried to keep the corn alive to save the food crop. And I did the same with peppers and aubergines and pepper dews and all these kind of crops. And it actually was the wrong thing to do because I didn't take into account the extremity of the drought situation. So what I'm here to tell you is, as a slip, don't focus on your annuals. If things are really struggling in your garden, then you need more microclimate and you need to change the way you're doing your garden, or at least I do. So in response to that...
So do you mean to say that if you're in a heavy drought,
yeah,
you must rather water the things like the trees and things that are going to stay instead of the other crops?
I think go and look around, and if your annuals are really struggling, then look to saving your perennials. So the things that are in the garden year in, year out, and the things that create some kind of microclimate.
You save those first.
Yes. So for example,
Wow.
this pepperdew plant is a year old. Now actually this one looks like it's really healthy and it's turning, the pepperdews are turning nicely, but that's not why I kept it alive. I kept it alive because of the massive amount of microclimate it creates underneath it. So that when it comes to planting my early winter veggies, which will happen in about 2 weeks' time, they've got a microclimate to grow in.
Oh my word,
It's the
talk
same-
about thinking ahead, eh?
Okay, yeah, so, and it's the same with, here's the oreganum, which is actually in seed right now and in flower. Normally I'd cut it back, but the pollinators don't have a lot to eat right now, so I'm leaving the flowers on the oreganum.
So just keeping it there for the bees.
Basically, so where you look around and you see perennials, I water those before I give water to any of the short-term annuals, because I'm not eating much from my garden right now. It would be deceptive to keep giving lots of water to small plants that are not really producing. Yes. Tip number 2, increase your perennials, give them the love and keep them alive. If you find perennials that don't need water in the summer, in the heat and drought, those are your golden sort of eggs. So
You were saying that growing enough for your means. So a lot of people are growing enough food for their immediate family. This is not if you're supplying food to other people. This is just if you are growing food for your own family.
or just starting a garden, any kind of garden, food gardens too, but any kind of garden where if you're spreading anything too much, you know, not enough butter over too many slices of toast, basically. So if you can't keep things alive and well during a difficult period, then rather than trying to increase your watering techniques, you can also reduce your garden size. And that's hard to take because it's an ego bash, because it's like saying I made a mistake, I went too big too soon, and it's like giving up on all this work. It takes a lot of work to create these beds and to increase the size, but if you can't manage it with water or any other way, you can't manage it, then there's a problem. Don't buy too many plants that you have to keep alive for a long period of time. Don't go too big, don't go beyond your watering and manual labor sort of capacities to keep things healthy.
Especially the water thing. I don't know if people in other countries suffer with droughts and things like that, but over here in South Africa we do. A lot of people are using water tanks where they're trying to catch their rainwater.
And we use grey water here too.
And grey water. They're using grey water. So water is just like so precious, and you need a heck of a lot of water to water gardens.
Look at the size of it. It's huge.
Here's another thing that Emma did that she thinks is pretty, like,
Yeah, this is
you know,
sad.
we all do this, by the way.
I love jasmine because it smells great and it's a beautiful plant and it's got lovely flowers. So I planted Chinese jasmine. This was Chinese jasmine. There's still look, there's a hornet nest under there. It's luckily empty, lucky for us. Okay, so some of it's still alive, but pretty much this entire trellis was covered in live, beautiful jasmine, but it apparently can't take a South African summer without being watered. Thus,
Chinese jasmine in drought-stricken South Africa is a no-no.
now, so you might think, well, okay, well, fine, maybe nothing grows here. This is north facing, but then look how happy this ground cover is. It's thriving. It's got little flowers on it. Look at this tree aloe, absolutely thriving.
So what she's trying to say is she's not using no water as an excuse for that thing dying. It was a choice.
Yeah, so basically, okay. There was no need to plant non-indigenous jasmine in a north-facing place. And the reason I know this from observation is when I look into here, growing all the way up here is this indigenous South African jasmine, which is not in flower. So to you, you're just going to see loads of green leaves. But it will be in flower when it's ready to be. Anyway, it's climbing and growing and thriving, while the other one, its sister over there, is dead as a
And they're in the same space. Look.
Yeah.
There's one.
North facing. There's the
Both
other.
north facing, both in the same place. The one is dead, the one is alive.
Neither gets any water from me at all, none out here. So that tells me, wrong plant, wrong place.
Even Emma makes mistakes, guys.
Yeah, I do.